Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Inspirate Business, the show that's here to inspire you, to empower you, and to enlighten you. And as you know, each week, for those that have been following our shows, we now, I think, around the 20th episode. And a lucky 20 for Dr. Lucas Moloi. Welcome to the Inspirate Business Show.
Thank you very much, Yusuf. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes, it's an absolute pleasure to have you, Dr. Moloi. Dr. Moloi is somebody that I briefly met around, I think, 2013, 2014, when we hosted Robin Sharma in South Africa.
Yes.
We were then hosted by Dr. Moloi at his very first online station at the time. Dr. Moloi is a very, very colorful character, somebody that is really, for me, playing at the cusp of potential. You know, that edge that they call the edge of chaos, which is that point where you're not falling off and the point where you're not relaxing, but that sweet spot, and doing amazing work. You know, your credentials, you've got a master's, you've got an MBA, you've got a PhD, you are involved in, you got qualifications in the quality management side of things. You have a passion for entrepreneurship, and currently you have your own business.
Correct.
It's called Junto Consulting.
Junto Group.
Junto Group.
So the consulting is part of the larger group.
Great. Now, before we get to that, and we have enough time to discuss all of these things, let's understand where did it all start? Where was the background for Dr. Moloi?
Look, Yusuf, I was born in Gauteng. I was born in Kempton Park, and grew up in the Free State. Somewhere along that line that I came back in Gauteng again through my schooling. I went through my schooling in Gauteng. Coming from your typical African family and that, you grow with cousins and everyone, and I was entrepreneurial from the beginning, so I was that person that you'd find at school, selling sweets, selling peanuts, selling pens, there was always selling in my life. And I think that's where really the gist of it came, and the love of it. From there as well, I would, after school, come home. I had a little bit, they call it a deck and that at home, and I would come and sell from there as well. When I'm studying, I'll be selling on the side. So it has been there my whole life. And when I finished school, at the stage when I completed my matric, my elder brother passed on. And you know what we do in our families, and that is that we educate the eldest child, and he will take care of the one after him, and that's how it goes. You take care of the one that comes after you. In my case, and that was not a sad thing. When I was doing my matric, my elder brother got sick, very, very brief, 1 week and that, and then he passed on, which then forced me to go into very early, into entrepreneurship very early, because immediately after that, the one thing that was clear was that there isn't money for me to go to varsity. All the money that the family had taken my elder brother to school. So then I had to find my way around. And at the age of 18, I started my first formal business. At that stage, it was a modeling agency. Why modeling agency? I wouldn't know. But I started a modeling agency. And I remember going to, at that stage, the municipality still belonged to the old National Party and that. And I remember going and asking to rent the office space from a building that belonged to the municipality. And I remember this big African guy and looks at me and asks me, so what business are you going to run? So I say, a modeling agency. And he looks at me and says, so where do you think you're going to get models? You know, and I remember smiling and looking at him and say, you have not been to my school. If you have been to my school, you would know that is not a problem. And I started in that. And luckily it became a great success. But also it became a curse. You know, it became such a great success at a very young age, still very young, stupid, and naive, and thinking that you know everything. You know, this business was, I became a breadwinner in a house at a very early age. And when this business collapsed, because now we lost order. You know, all my friends were now involved in this business. Now it was no longer a business; it was a youth club. Everybody was doing whatever they liked. Starting to lose contracts from the cosmetics companies that were using models and that. And at that stage, things dipped very bad. And now you move from the space of being this breadwinner and doing something for your mother into it has all collapsed. And at that stage, I then found a job in a factory in Vanderbijl Park. You know, growing up in the Vaal Triangle at that stage, getting a job in a factory was not a problem. There were factories all over the place, and so I got a job in a factory at that stage.
What year was this?
It must have been maybe about 2003, around that, I think. Yeah. No,
so we were already into our democracy.
Even definitely before that. It was 97.
Okay.
We were in our democracy, very fresh in our democracy. Hope was there. So yeah, it was around 97. So I got this job in a factory, and I was working there now as a laborer. You know, I always tell my kids and said, when it was raining, I sat under the truck. When it was too hot, I sat under the truck. When it was lunchtime, I sat under the truck. You know, so I worked there as a laborer, and an opportunity came where they wanted artisans. So they wanted apprentice for artisans. So I became that first group of African artisans in the country. At that time, I decided I would do boiler making. 3 years down the line, at that stage, you had to do apprenticeship was 4 years, I think, at that stage. And that after 2 years, I felt I didn't want to do it anymore. So I went to HR and I said to them, I'm ready to go write my trade test. So they said to me, no, it can't happen. You do that in 4 years. It's not 2 years. So I said, I think I'm ready. It's boring. I've gotten to know everything that I can learn. I need to write my trade test. If you don't let me write my trade test, I'm going to just disappear. So they made me sign a contract, which was that if I then fail my trade test, I would have to pay back every cent that they've spent on me for my apprenticeship. And then I signed a contract. I said, no, that's fine. That's okay. I signed a contract. And I went and wrote my trade test, passed my trade test, became an artisan, worked as an artisan for another 2 years and that. And at that stage, I had my son, you know, my firstborn son, at a very early age. You know, I remember looking at him and thinking, what legacy am I going to leave you? You know, and that's what sparked it. And I said, I can't leave you anything if I work in this place. At that stage, you know, I was taking home 10,000 rand, and you know, around. I mean, before the year 2000, taking home that amount of money was something else. And this, when my son was born, was now 2002. So I quit the job, and I went and gotten myself a job where I was going to be a facilitator, training people. Already I had been studying privately, and that, go to work, come back home and study. So I was able to get this job to train people.
So whilst you were working, you were studying.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when I got this job, the job was paid me 3,500. So, it was a drop from 10,000 to 3,500, and that.
So it's just a question. What made you at that time? You were in a comfort zone. You earning pretty well. You've got this young kid now that comes in. What makes you jump? Right, from that into this world of pretty much the unknown.
For me, I always say that my son for me was a great inspiration of change in my life. When this child was born, I was sitting there looking at this child, and I thought to myself, our fathers are leaving no legacy for us. They've been through this pain all their lives, and all that they're leaving us is the same pain. And I look at this boy and I said, what am I going to leave you? And I aspired to be a better person for him at that stage. So I decided I'm going to then do something than work in a factory, so that I can at least be able to leave him something he could be proud of. And that was the jump, and I when this opportunity of this job came, and it was the job to train people, and I said, that's what I want to do. I want to change people's lives. I want my son to sit one day and know that I changed lives. And it was not giving me the money at that stage, but it was fulfilling the purpose that I felt that I had. And that was the jump, So I got into that. And I remember when I joined the company, and that I didn't have experience. So I sat down with them in an interview. And after the interview, the lady said to me, her name was Sisi. She said to me, look, it was great meeting you and that, but you don't have the experience that we're looking for. And I said to her, thanks. I said, but if given an opportunity, I promise you, I'd be the best employee in this company. Nobody would beat me in this company. And she said, no, sorry, we need someone that can hit the ground running. We are opening a new branch, and they were training people in health and safety in the mines and all that. They said, we don't have time to train you. We need someone to start running. This was on a Friday. I was driving a 68 VW Beetle.
Which I believe is also a passion of yours, is collecting classic cars. Yeah,
definitely.
Okay, before we get there on that very exciting point, we've come to the end of this segment, listening to a very enlightening story, of a very humbling story of Dr. Lucas Moloi, very passionate around entrepreneurship, has it in his blood, perhaps out of necessity. You needed to do what you needed to do to survive, and you needed money in your pocket, so you would hustle, and that is comes out very strongly for me. So after the break, let's explore further this journey, this intriguing journey of Dr. Lucas Moloi. Get you after the break. Welcome back to Inspirate Business, and on our red hot couch. This couch here, by the way, is sponsored by Aza Collective out in Kramerville, and we've had many guests on this couch. And today we're blessed to have Dr. Lucas Moloi, who has been sharing with us his journey. Now, we were at a point where you now jump from, you were hustling at school. You then come out of school and you start a modeling agency. And you said it eventually failed because there was no order. It became more like a boys' club. You then go into factory working. real hard factory worker, being out in the south, in the Vanderbijl area, which was the industrial area traditionally. I think it still is. You then decide you're earning pretty well, and the turning point for you was your son. Your son is born, and this message that comes is that you need to fulfill your purpose, and that is to empower people, to share your gifts to many.
Yes.
And you then join this company where you then almost get to a third of your salary, and that must have been quite a challenge.
Definitely.
Right. So you were saying you were at the interview and you didn't have the credentials.
Yep.
Now, so many of us can attest to that,
Yep.
especially youngsters going for the interviews. But let's listen to this. You go for the interview and you don't have the credentials.
So I'm told directly right there and there, you don't have the credentials. We need someone that can hit the ground running. And, and what one should learn from it is that if you don't believe in yourself so much that it infects the next person, and that's where the formula of success is. You need to believe in yourself and what you're doing so much that even the non-believers are converted.
Wow.
And
that's
what
such a powerful message.
What I did was Monday, I showed up to work. This is Friday. I was told I don't have the job. Monday, I showed up.
Wow.
Monday,
that is something.
I got there in the morning. 7:30, I was there. It was right here in Ferndale in Randburg. In the morning, I'm there. And when they open, I come in. I start preparing the classrooms. They had 2 classrooms at the head office. I start preparing classrooms and that, and getting everything ready, putting projectors, everything, and I'm sitting there and waiting. When everybody gets there, they find me there already.
Wow, I'm gobsmacked at this story.
So Sissy Van Sail at that stage walks in, looks and thinks, what's happening?
I can just imagine the look on her face.
We spoke about this, and I said, "No, I'm reporting for duty." So someone looks at you and thinks, "What didn't you get? You didn't get the job, And I stuck around. First day, sat there, lunchtime, I went to lunch, came back after lunch, doing everything and anything that everybody did, sitting in classes to learn as the people are training. Second day, I'm there. Third day, I'm there. A computer breaks down in the classroom and that. I didn't study computer at school, but I have always been handy with things and that. And I find out, it's just the power supply. I go, I buy the power supply with my own money. Come replaces the power supply.
Wow.
The computer is working.
Wow.
And the definition of luck, is when opportunity meets preparedness. When you are prepared for an opportunity, at one stage, that opportunity will show up. It will come at one stage. And when you are prepared to take that opportunity, then you become lucky. But an opportunity can show up and you are still not prepared. You cannot be lucky. And on the 5th day that I was at work, one of the trainers didn't show up. He was sick. And the opportunity showed up. It was my time to do training. And didn't wait for anyone to ask me. I realized the class is supposed to start. It's 9 o'clock. The class hasn't started. So something is wrong. And I stood up in the class and I started giving class. So at the time that the manager walks in and that, I'm giving class. And she decides, I'm going to sit in this class and that. And that's how I got hired. 3 months later in that company, I became the youngest branch manager. They opened a new branch and they sent me to be the branch manager. And this was just 3 months in the company. So I stayed with the company for about 2 years and that. Had an amazing time, changed lives. And I became that best employee that I promised them that I would be. Every branch that opened, and that they sent me to go run the branch. I ran one of their biggest branches in Secunda, at Sasol, and when that big explosion took place in Sasol, and that I was at that time on that project, training people on that project on health and safety. And after that time, and I said to them, I'm leaving. And I remember that stage, Advocate Kruger sat down with me. I said, yeah, why are you leaving and that? And we started talking about shares and everything. And I said, no. Only at that time, I was earning the 10,000 rand that I had been earning already 3 years back, And I said to him, it's not about money, so it has never been about money in my life. It has been about purpose. And I said to him, my purpose here is done. I can't do for you anything anymore. I can't. I'm done what I was supposed to do. I need to move on. And in 2004, I started my own business. That's when I started Junto. I started with consulting first, and it's sort of everything that was happening was leading to me saving first, so that I could be able to be served. You need to serve others in order for you to be served, so that you can appreciate what others do for you. And at that stage, I started my own company, and that we built a multi-million rand business at the age of 23. Wow. And when I was 25, I saw my first bankruptcy. At 27, I had built another multi-million rand business, and at the age of about 30, and that I saw my second bankruptcy.
Wow.
And I kept on. So in my business journey, I have seen 2 very rough bankruptcies and 1 technical bankruptcy in that. And the thing was always coming back and saying, as long as you have got the strength to fight, and you still are keen to do this, you haven't failed. You are still learning, and that's the difference between failure and learning. The person that has failed is the one that finally says, I'm done. I'm not doing it anymore. That's failure, because you now have given up on it. But as long as you're still saying, I'm going back in again, you haven't failed. You learned, and you will continue learning, and you will succeed once the lessons that you need to learn have all been completed. Then success will come. But we give up too quickly at that stage where you're still learning, and then you give up at the learning stage. So that was the journey of this business,
So just some questions around that. I mean, you say that you failed while you went into bankruptcy on 2 of these huge companies that you created. What were some of those lessons, just for the viewers? Those that are starting up businesses, those that are running businesses, and maybe feeling that they are failing.
Yes.
Because look, business, especially in today's world, is tough.
It's tough.
Yeah, it's very, very tough. There's so many different permutations and challenges.
Yeah.
But what are some of those lessons?
So if we talk about the first bankruptcy, my first bankruptcy was caused really by the financial meltdown that we saw as the country, as the world, and I was very financially committed at that stage, overly committed. At that stage, I remember I had bought 3 houses, I had bought cars and everything. Lucky for me, I have never been a person for parties. I don't consume alcohol. I don't smoke. It's things that I never learned.
Clean living.
So I've always been a very healthy lifestyle and that. So it was not from spending money recklessly. It was buying good things that we would say, but some of them which I didn't need. You know, and one of the first lessons for me became we get ourselves into so much trouble trying to prove our success to others.
What a powerful message that is.
And we think that this success is measured in material. We let others' expectations of us become our purpose. So because you come from this poor background and you've become this wealthy, people's expectations is that you will have 10 cars, you will have 7 houses, and you then let that expectation of them become your goals, your objectives, and you live for this. And it doesn't drive you, you know. That's not where your energy comes from. And you can't maintain these things because they are not who you are.
And it actually drains your energy.
It drains your energy completely.
Yeah, because now you're having to live for others.
For others.
And you're not following that true spirit.
Exactly.
And your purpose.
And you also forget why you are in this. And it starts becoming about the money. It starts becoming about the car you drive, the clothes you wear. It starts becoming about superficial things and no longer about the core of who you are. At the core of my business, at the core of my Junto journey throughout has been to change lives, to impact lives. And when this became this multi-million rand company and that, we forgot about the core of it. And it became about a successful business that's able to buy shares in everything and get its hands in every single thing.
Wow. We've come to the end of what a probably one of the most powerful sessions we've had on the Inspirate Business Show. Such powerful lessons for the viewers out there. And so grateful to be having a person of Dr. Moloi who shares so passionately. You know, the other thing that's so powerful, what I gather here is that not many people can share their vulnerabilities. And I guess that comes from the fact that your purpose is to impact people. And hence you are able to share these lessons, as tough as they may be. I hope you have gained so much as what I have through this last session. Let's, after the break, explore now this Junto journey. You failed thrice, but where are you right now? And where are you going to? And also let's touch a little bit on what do we need to do differently in our country to make this a country that is successful. After the break. Welcome back to Inspirate Business, the show that's here to inspire you, to empower you, and to enlighten you. And in this last session, we surely have been enlightened, empowered, and inspired by our very special guest, Dr. Lucas Moloi, who is sharing his journey, having grown up as in a struggled environment, hustling his way, opens up a modeling agency at the age of 18, young, egotistical youngster, I can just imagine. It fails. He then gets into hard industrial work, sleeping under a truck day and night and so on. And then, but your son, the birth of your son changes your trajectory and you find your purpose, that of wanting to impact people. And a beautiful journey since then, created multi-million rand businesses, failed. Yeah. And a powerful lesson for me here, before we carry on, is that where you lost your purpose, the purpose was to impact people, and it all became about the money and the success, and then having to live up to people's expectations. So it's all about the cars and the houses, and you get into a spiral of actual, unnecessary pressure we put on ourselves. So you've been through all these failures, you've learned your lessons, you fulfilling your purpose. Now, where has that purpose led you to now? The Junto Group.
Yeah. So, life, the minute you get to the point where you feel that you've learned all your lessons and you've done everything, it ends. You may still be walking, but the minute you feel you're at that stage, then that life ends. So the learning still continues in this journey. At some stage, as this business was going, my son was now older, and I'm starting now to look at handing over this business to him. And one day we had a chat with him, and we sat down and I said to him, where do you see this business? Where do you want to go? What do you want to do with it? I've done media. We've impacted people's lives through media. I've written and published books. We've recorded artists. I'm saying to him, we've been throughout every sort of sector that you can think about in business, but what do you want to do with this business? And my son said, you have healed so much souls and that, and perhaps now it's time that we heal bodies. And our decision was to go into a medical space. It was also to go into food. And I said, one of the things for me that troubles me about Africa, it's still the issues of malnutrition and such. And the fact that there is so much little money going around for people to get food. And the thing is that if there's that little money, maybe we need to focus on quality food. What food are we getting and such? So then the decision was to go into a moringa business and start farming moringa. It's one of the great nutrients that you find in that, and then we start mixing that with various staple foods to get the nutrition that is needed around.
So moringa is a plant.
It's a tree, yeah.
Okay.
So moringa is a tree originating from really India, China, that area there. In that part of the world, they call it malunge tree and that. So at this stage, it's considered the most nutritious plant you can get in the world. Amazing tree and that. You dry the leaves and you grind the leaves. Every part of it is being used, the pods on it and that. So very great. So we decided we're going to farm this. So we started now putting things together to start farming moringa and that. This is now 2019. And we're going around looking for farms, and that we are now going to farm moringa. And then we are hit by COVID. And after being hit by COVID and that, things are happening. 2020, we're starting now to get closer to this dream now, and we are hyped up. All our focus is on this and that. So 2020, the 5th of August, in the morning around 2:00 and that, I get a call, and my son's mother, we don't live together, and that my son's mother calls me and she says, your son has passed. She says your son is gone.
How old is he?
He was 18. Now this is one of the most crazy situation and feeling that one cannot even begin to explain. And he committed suicide, you know? And you sit and you think, we spoke before we both went to bed, we spoke. You were okay, everything is fine. The future is bright. We planning, we working on things. What happened? You know? And, you know, it took me quite some time before I even read a note that he had left. I only managed to read that note last month, you know? And you know, when I read the note and he says to me, he says on the note that, you know, many would judge me through my age and say that it was such a young life. But they would not understand that in my spirit, I am much older than many. He says, I didn't fight with anyone. I'm not angry at anyone. It is my time to go. My purpose is done. And it may be difficult for everybody else to understand, but for me, it is very clear to me to understand what his purpose was. I would have never become what I became if he didn't come along. He came at a certain stage in my life when I needed to change my path to move somewhere. And now he left because my path needed to change again. And my path was no longer the path of building wealth and that. My path was now the path that perhaps I didn't even need wealth at all. It was the path of making sure that I go and plant in the soil to change the lives of others. And that's now the journey that Junto has went into. You know, we're still consulting and other things and that, but we are going now, very much the focus for the past 2 years has been in agriculture.
Wow. You know, you've really touched my soul, and I think many souls watching. You know, I must say something that during that COVID period, I was very fortunate to meet up with via Zoom with a very intelligent man who is involved in is a professor in Islamic economics but very simple man from Malaysia, broken English. And the one thing he said, because we were asking him about this broken capitalist system and how do we change it, and can't we influence these G20 guys? And he says, listen, I can't go and change how these big corporates and big countries operate, but what we can do is we can change things in our own hand. And he said the one lesson that COVID is bringing is that it is bringing us to our knees. And he's saying, and this is also very strong from an Islamic perspective, he says that the new economics, the new system must be based from the ground up. And you know, when you're speaking now and saying this was the gift that your son gave you and your purpose is this new post-COVID world is, as much as people are going back into the bling and all that, that's one side. But the true essence of a new system is based on economics from the ground up. It's growing, it's using the natural resources in a positive way. Not in an exploitative way. So we've come to the end of this very, very powerful session that we had with Dr. Lucas Moloi, sharing such vulnerabilities, but so many lessons for each one of us. When we get to the last segment, let's discuss now this journey for Junto, this ground up journey, and leaving that legacy, even though your son has now passed, that legacy, that Junto legacy, what that may be after the break. Welcome back to Inspirate Business, where we have Dr. Lucas Moloi, who has shared a remarkable journey. For me, I'm truly touched by Dr. Moloi. I must be honest, there's been some hair-raising moments here. I hope for you as well, watching. Growing up in a pretty struggled environment, being a hustler, young egotistical boy opens a all young boys would want that, right? Which is a modeling agency, because you get all the girls and so on, and you're like the main guy now, right? So you do that, and then fails, goes back into like real construction or industrial business, then creates multi-million rand businesses. They fail. But what was also very important, and this is for the viewers, is that point where it doesn't give up. And it is when you say no more, that's when you give up. But constantly learns from the lessons. And a very powerful message here is that it's not about the money. It's about that purpose that you follow from spirit, that essence of who you are, that can only be given to you when you connect to your creator. Because that's when you know that you're now fulfilling your purpose. And we are at this juncture in your journey where you now fulfilling your purpose, having lost your son tragically, and who was your inspiration that got you onto this journey of entrepreneurship. And many in that was his gift to you. So this legacy now, to continue this legacy, where is the Junto journey going to, in terms of also in the context of this country with everything that we're going through? You spoke earlier about hope, that period of hope. In many ways, even right now as we sit, we're in such a sensitive time with the whole political uncertainty. Where to in terms of Junto, and how are you going to be making that impact that you speak about, which was your purpose?
So here's the thing. In everything that we do, I think the greatest lesson for me in life has been the understanding that everything that we have gotten to know and see in this world is temporary. And we don't even know how long it's there, and that your impact in life really should be something that you take an active participation in, because you don't know how long you've got. The second thing is that the minute certain things in our lives and certain people in our lives start to be more of our focus than even the purpose itself, they can be removed. When my son became of age, my focus completely became into, I centered everything around him, and it was him, and it was me preparing him to take over in that. And I also did abandon what I'm supposed to be doing for the purpose, and it became about me and recreating me in this young man and that, and not understanding that he is not mine. He was a gift. It was a gift that was given to me for that period. So I think we need to understand that the things that and the people that we have around us are gift. And they are a gift in your life so that it can enable you to perform your purpose and achieve that for the greater power. So that's what it has been. You know, I still have got 4 kids. You know, I have got 3 girls and another boy. You know, and then now you sit and you like the legacy of Junto and the legacy of Lucas Moloi is now in the hands of these 4 people. And unfortunately, with the girls and that, they will be married and they will move away and that, and this young boy would be left with this. But I'm now a little bit mindful of burdening his life with this that was given for me to do. And I'm beginning to understand that his purpose might not even be the same as mine. And his purpose may be completely opposite to what mine is. The other lesson that I've learned was that through losing my son, I have gained so many sons. I've gained so many sons that have been there, and I couldn't reach out to them. I couldn't bring them in because I had my own that I had to think about, to dedicate my time to. But there were many that were put there so that I impact. And having mine there, mine was in the way of me impacting these young boys. So at this stage, really, my purpose at the moment is it's really creating a better generation of South African and African men. Perhaps that do not suffer the same ills that I suffered, that don't pick up the same rage that I grew up with, that don't do the same wrongs that I have done, that I have gone through this. I have gone through multiple relationships that if they didn't work, you walk away and that. I have become to have kids that were not in the same family and that. And who else to change? Who else to help others change if not me? You know? And sometimes some of these things that we face and go through, we don't go through them. You said there's nothing that you will go through that is for yourself. Because when you go through something, the lesson is not going to do you any good. You have already gone through that pain. You have already caused the damage. So the lessons are not for you. The lessons are for others. So when we are chosen to go through these lessons, we must find ourselves very privileged. Because of these lessons, your character is going to be murdered, it's going to be destroyed, it's going to be attacked, it's going to be questioned. But what you need to do is to be grateful that I was chosen for these lessons. And I'm going to go through them gracefully. And I'm going to learn all the necessary lessons that I need from them. And I'm going to do better through others. Because it cannot be through you anymore. It's too late. You have already done the mistakes. So this goes also to where the country is, as what we are speaking. What we need at the moment is the type of leadership that understands that it is not through them that the country is going to be better. That they have made the mistakes already. They have stolen already. And this is not one person. We're talking a generation.
It's a collective
that has already done wrong. From that generation, it's not going to come out of there, the change. But the lessons that this generation has learned are what is important, because these are the lessons that needs to come out to prepare the next generation to come in and not repeat the same mistakes. And that
powerful.
is where the change is going to come. But if we fail to carry the lessons through, that's when we really fail, because then we don't give the future a chance. So as Junto, in trying to do that, our focus is in agriculture, because we need to feed the nation. We need to feed them the right stuff. We need to heal the people, and that you are what you eat. And when we move from that, on the other end, in all our media businesses that we have been involved in, our focus is only now really into publishing. And we are saying it is time that we go back and write the right stories and publish the right stories and leave the legacy that is going to change the future. Because all that we can do now is to impact in the future. Because what happened yesterday and what happened today only serve the purpose of a better tomorrow. What is important is the tomorrow. What happened and what is happening is no longer important, but it serves as the foundation for what tomorrow is going to be. And that's where we need to invest our energies in. We need to invest our energies to that. When you are a father, we need to go back to our African culture that says you are not a father to your kids. You are a father to the nation. You are the father to the village. And we need to be those fathers. We need to be fathers that look at these young boys and say, how do I help? What we have been doing at the moment, and understandably so because of where we come from, we have been taking girl children and we have been creating excellent citizens from them, but we have neglected the boy child. We've got programs that says take a girl child to work. The question is, when you take the girl child to work, where are you leaving the boy child? Because you have taken one to work. You have said to one, you have the potential to go work. What happens to the boy child? And this is what we see, where the boy child has been destroyed by drugs, has become more violent because he cannot even he can't match to the girl child. He can't associate. He can't, and he becomes violent because he's unable to talk to her.
Wow. This really resonates. Every word that you've spoken has touched my soul. Such powerful lessons. This of an awakened man, which is so important, where we today grappling with this issue of LGBTQI. It's actually as a result of this sort of blurring of what the role is of a man, what the role is of a woman, and sits so strongly in the prophetic principles, the biblical principles, the Quranic principles, and this is what needs to come out very strongly. We've come to the end of the show. I'd like to thank you profusely for sharing such wisdom, the African wisdom, the wisdom of the elders. And, taking it, you say now your vocation is around storytelling in the modern world. And this is what made us as ancient societies so successful, was the wisdom of the elders and sharing through stories. And it needs to come out even more strongly. We'd love to, for those that want to get involved with you, wants to just maybe sit around the fountain of your wisdom, how do they contact you? I know the details will be at the bottom, but it's the Junto Group.
It's the Junto Group. The website is junto.co.za. There's also a website, lucasmoloi.com. So that's really where they would be able to find. Very much active also on social media, because that's where to reach the young people and their
Yes,
needs.
and I encourage every one of you to get part of it. I know you've inspired me to discuss so many other things with you, and we can come onto the Inspirate page and we can discuss this further. We've already come to the end of the show. We could carry on talking around this wisdom of Dr. Moloi. Thank you so much. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.